Okay, good afternoon, everybody, to our members and to everyone joining virtually. My name is Colleen Laughlin, and I am the designated federal officer for the Defense Innovation Board. And we will now convene the Defense Innovation Board's fall public meeting. The board is a discretionary independent advisory board operating under the Federal Advisory Committee Act and Government and Sunshine Act. Today's meeting was announced in the Federal Register on October 14th, 2022, and is being live streamed and recorded to allow members of the public to attend virtually. We are really excited to be here today. We have an amazing group gathered who you'll get a chance to meet and hear from momentarily. But first, I'd like to take a moment to introduce our DIB chair. He is an individual who epitomizes American values of service and selflessness, an entrepreneur, philanthropist, and public servant, was driving innovation as mayor of the largest U.S. city, fostering New York as a tech hub. He's built large company of engineers utilizing data in new ways to transform the financial sector, and he's been a philanthropist working issues across global challenges, including public health and climate. We are deeply honored to have you as our chair. So, Mr. Michael Bloomberg, I turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Colleen, and hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Colleen, you were very nice in your introduction, and you read it exactly the way I wrote it, so it was perfect. Seriously, I know I speak for all my fellow board members when I say we're honored to have been asked to serve at such a critical time. The U.S. Department of Defense has built the greatest military force in the world, and it's always incredibly impressive to hear from Secretary Austin and his senior team, as we've done throughout the day today. There's certainly no shortage of challenges and opportunities facing them right now, and the department knows it. The world seems to be spinning faster and faster, becoming more complex and interconnected every single day. So adaptability and innovation have become increasingly critical to the Pentagon and to America's security and leadership around the world. Now, America's private sector leads in global R&D, as we know, and the private sector has a vital role to play in expanding our nation's capabilities. That requires not just new ideas, but also new partnerships that can better connect businesses, government, and academia. And those kinds of partnerships fueled America's leadership in the past, and we want the Department of Defense to continue embracing the kind of experimentation that can help it keep pace with the speed of the future. Also, we can build enduring technological advantages for our military and those who serve in it if we all work together. Put simply, we are not doing our jobs here if we are not drawing on the strengths of the private sector and helping service members do their jobs across the globe. Having worked in business and government and philanthropy, I can say that innovation isn't only about science and technology. Innovation starts with people, and it requires building an organizational culture that can develop new ideas, take a few big swings, live with the inevitable misses, and then scale up the ideas that show the most promise. Fostering that kind of culture is where we can play a helpful role, and we are building from a very strong foundation. As you know, the DIB was established to help spur innovation across the department and bridge the public and private sectors. Over the years, the board has been successful in bringing new ideas forward, including on talent and culture, digital transformation, software acquisition, and artificial intelligence. It's also adopted principles and best practices from business to help the department run more smoothly. But there is much more that we can do, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. And now I'd like to introduce each of the board members to share a little bit about their backgrounds. First, Ryan Swan, you are lucky enough to go first. After you.
Thank you, Mike. It's an honor to serve. My name is Ryan Swan. I am the Chief Data and Analytics Officer at Vanguard, where I focus on data analytics, AI, and ML really across the firm. Prior to that, I spent over 20 years in the data and analytics space, both in the private sector and venture, but as well as an executive branch, a civil servant, and I'm as well served in the Marine Corps. So it's a pleasure to bring that experience to the board as we look at this intersection between people, process, and technology, really fueled by data and analytics. So happy to be here.
Thank you. You should know that Ryan is the chief data analytics officer at Vanguard. Next, we have an old friend of mine, Admiral Michael Mullen, U.S. Navy retired. He was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Mike?
Thank you, Mike. Again, it's an honor for me to be here as well. It's the first time I've been back in the building in a serious capacity in actually in over 11 years when I retired. While I might be remembered for the time as chairman during 2 wars, actually before that I spent an awful lot of time in the acquisition world, in the budget world, and in the programming world. And there's a lot of work from an innovation standpoint that I felt needed to be done then, and clearly just after today's briefings still needs to be done. Focusing on speed, agility, flexibility, and as the Secretary has said, delivering for the warfighter, which is really key. We live at an incredibly challenging time. I've been in the private sector now for a little over a decade and learned a great deal about how they do things. It isn't always perfect out there as well. It takes a lot of hard work and focus. And also just being with my colleagues today, listening to them talk about the challenges that are here, I'm actually very optimistic that we can make a big difference in terms of innovating, creating innovative ideas, and disrupting the current processes in a way that delivers this capability and really makes a difference. So it's a great pleasure to be here with you, Mike, and the rest of the team. Thanks.
Mike, thank you. Next, Gilda Barabino. She is president of Olin College of Engineering. Gilda?
Thank you, Mike. As president of Olin College, we were established to transform engineering education through constant innovation and change. And we integrate engineering with liberal arts and entrepreneurship to solve real-world problems. I'm a chemical engineer by training. And I'm very much looking forward to serving on the DIB and bringing forth those insights to the DIB. Thank you.
Thank you. Another friend of mine, Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn and a partner at Greylock Partners.
Thank you, Mike. This is a pleasure and an honor to serve on the Defense Innovation Board again. The previous experience, we've had a lot of different threads of very engaged conversation across the services, figuring out, as Mike mentioned earlier, software, AI, talent recruiting and deployment. And obviously, one of our parts of our charter is to look at what entrepreneurship, innovation in the commercial sector, and other things that are deployed, beyond the scope of the services that can help in the services missions. So it's a delight and an honor to serve again.
Thank you. Sue Gordon, former Principal Deputy Director of National Intelligence.
Thanks, Mike. I too am delighted to be here. Intelligence and military operations go together like peas and carrots. So it's a great chance to take my lessons and bring them here. Over the course of my career, I did everything from analysis to building systems to cyber operations to support operations. And so I understand that you need innovation across the entire ecosystem in order to achieve different outcomes. What a great moment where things are both different and familiar, when we have to act with urgency, and that the moment requires us to be fast, be partnered, and be innovative. And I'm with you, confident we can do it.
Well said. Thank you. I'm sure you're right. Will Roper, former Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisitions, Technology, and Logistics.
Thanks, Mike. I guess I find it a pleasure to be back in the building. I love innovation in the national security space. I've had the privilege of doing it for a few years as the Air Force and Space Force Acquisition Exec and Director of the Strategic Capabilities Office, and have since enjoyed learning about innovation in the private sector, working with consultancies and investment firms and startups. So it's a privilege to be back, hopefully to try to bring both of those worlds together on the Defense Innovation Board. And I certainly know how challenging innovation is inside of the Pentagon and the services. So I plan to treat every recommendation as if I had to implement it myself, and hopefully we'll be able to help move the ball forward for those who are serving right now in government.
And last but certainly not least, William Mack Thornberry. He comes from the Panhandle in Texas, formerly Texas congressman and former chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, so he can add a lot here. Mack?
Thank you, Mike. I was able to spend 26 years in the Congress, all of that time on the House Armed Services Committee, and privileged to become its chairman. As chairman, my primary initiative was acquisition reform, how we can get the best that our country can produce into the hands of the warfighters faster. And on the Hill, we had some success. It was a totally bipartisan effort, and I look forward to continuing some of that work on in a nonpartisan way as a member of this board.
Thank you, Colleen. It's been a very productive day, and we have our marching orders, so to speak. Let me just say on behalf of the board, we look forward to fulfilling our mission, and we welcome continued feedback from the public as well. And thank you to Secretary Austin for the opportunity to serve and for spending time with the Defense Innovation Board today. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you at our winter board meeting next year, and all the best.
Mike,
Over to you.
Thank you so much. I thought I'm going to do a little audible here and switch it up, but maybe just take a moment to discuss some of the themes and issues I think that everyone heard today, and sort of let some of the board members kind of share their perspectives on what some of these topics are. We, of course, had the Secretary offer 2 issues that he asked the Defense Innovation Board to look at. One was around investment capital and the Department of Defense relationship with that. So, I thought that was an interesting one and would welcome some of the board members' just initial thinking on that. And then the second one we had was asking for the board's inputs and thinking as the department moves out developing its National Defense Science and Technology Strategy. So many of you have seen us build strategies in the department, driven strategies outside the department, and so I just maybe take a moment to offer those 2 up to see what some of the feedback and thinking was.
Well, I guess I'll kick it off, given that the first thing is technology investing. One of the things that was already useful in the various discussions that we had with several of the senior leaders was an understanding that in order to get private capital deployed to help, part of it is you need clarity and some understanding about what the DoD will look like as a customer, needs to operate within timeframes that allows the smaller and innovative businesses to engage with it. And that is kind of having potentially the services and other folks as anchor customers can actually, in fact, give a channel to this kind of classic, kind of American, kind of free market and investment to possibly get private capital and private innovation deployed to help with the services and the DoD mission. And while we will help and talk about that and go into more serious depth, I'd say one of the things that was good about the conversation today already was that these concepts were brought up by them, and so we will be adding to that obviously as the best of our abilities.
Yeah, I was delighted that trying to think through how the department interfaces with the world of private investments on the top of the Secretary's mind. It's been a top item, I think, now for several secretaries, which says this is not a spark in the night that's going to flare out. Right, this is a trend that this building has to get its head around. It's as simple as saying once incentives are aligned, that we'll work together between the .mil and the .com parts of the market, but aligning those incentives is challenging. Especially getting companies to recurring revenue, because that gets into how this building does business, including how it budgets for things, how it contracts for things. So it's a very insightful question because it's going to go very deep. But I'm an optimist in this respect. I see huge potential for innovation in the private sector. It's a way that we can help counterbalance the consolidation that we've had in the defense industrial base. Not the fault of those companies. It's the way we've done business has forced that consolidation, and allowing companies that are a little bit of .com and a little bit of .gov be able to work successfully in national security on their path towards commercial success, global success, can be a winning formula for the U.S. and one that really unlocks the potential of our market economy. So it's a great first area for us to look at, especially given the members of the board, given Mike's background as a successful entrepreneur. So I think we'll take a swing at it.
Just one.
No, I would just add, and it needs to be kind of a broad look, because some of these may be dual-use technologies that can be commercial, as you were saying, as well as a military application. Some of them may be strictly commercial products that have military applications so that the government funds or government products can be used for other things. So looking at it kind of from a broader ecosystem, I think, and then the investment to follow that will be one of our tasks.
Just having spent so much time on the inside with programs and money, I've been struck, being on the outside now for a decade, how for a small company, a new company, a startup, how impenetrable the building is. It's just been stunning to me, and I think we need to figure out a way to just make it easier. The other thing is the building doesn't have a very good sense for a business cycle or business decisions, and somehow synchronizing that better is really important in order for a small business to actually survive from one year to another with a great capability. But if I don't have any revenues, if I can't hire people, I'm not going to be around very long. So that's a really significant issue I didn't understand until I got in the private sector.
To pick up on Will's hopefulness, I think one of the things that I think right now we have a much clearer picture that there is a shared value proposition between the department and the private sector. We don't totally know how to prosecute it yet, but I don't think it's ever been clearer that the fates are tied together, that the private sector and national security decision makers, the department depends on the energy in that sector. So I think that applying the shared value is, I think, something that we ought to explore a bit.
Yeah. Gilda, anything you want to add?
It stands out to me that as we're sharing, there's quite an explosion of data and information and technology. And between the sectors, if we could learn how to both protect and share the data and information, it will help drive the innovation.
Well, let me just add one thing. I think we mentioned it in the meeting with the Secretary of Defense, but the Ukrainian success at standing off the Russians is built on American technology, and the capabilities of weapons that were built probably from requests in this building and designs that they helped to further has just shown to be so much superior to anything the Russians had. It should give us all great comfort to know that we can always do better, but we spend a lot of money, but that money has produced something that really defends this country and is defending the people of the Ukraine who were mercilessly being slaughtered. So all is not bad. It's that can we make it better and more efficient, and that's what we have a commitment to do, and we will. And we always need the public's help. So if you have any suggestions, send them along. Thank you.
Absolutely. Members, any other comments or thoughts on some of the themes and topics today?
The S&T topic from Secretary Austin dovetails with what Mike just mentioned. I mean, it is the foresight of those in the past about how today's wars would have happened. You know, the first network-enabled warfare that we're watching in the Ukraine, we're seeing a huge contribution from commercial capabilities that are providing agility and redundancy that would not be possible if they were government-only solutions. It's been thought about, It's been talked about, it's been invested in, and now it's happening. And looking at the S&T strategy for the department is simply bringing that same vision to what is tomorrow's war going to look like? What do we need to anticipate now? And back to the first topic, not everything needs to be a huge priority, because the private sector is going to move a lot of technology along, and shame on this building if it doesn't leverage it. But it's not going to move everything along at the pace that the warfighters will need. So I think it'll be different today than it would have been, say, 15 years ago doing this. Is that there'll have to be a proper dissection of what technology will be moved because of private investment for commercial means that can be leveraged. And this building needs to be a fast adopter of it. And then what technologies will not be. And this building needs to be the investor and the accelerator itself. And if it gets that right, it gets the best of both worlds.
Yeah, building on that, I think one of the things that the Secretary asked us to look at was how do we signal to the market that these are the things that we believe that we're going to need. This is what we see as a capability, so that when those technologies are built, we're able to do the part on the inside to actually get them to scale, right? That scale piece is also important. And then on like the talent side, when we think about workforce and think about preparing a warfighter for the future, whether it's cybersecurity workforce or advanced analytics workforce, how do those things apply to the warfighter of the future, so that we can build a more resilient, more capable force? Is something that we'll have to definitely look at.
And one of the things on the science and technology side is, while it's obviously critical for the warfighter, critical for the defense mission, it's also useful to the entire country. I mean, the internet, where I've built my own personal career, started as DARPANET, right? And this looking forward about what are the science and technology of the future is something that matters to all of us. So I think it's a great thing that continues to be a forward-looking mission.
And as we think about science and technologies, we tend, when it comes to defense, we tend to think of tanks and planes and ships. But if you look at what's happening in the world today, there are a number of other technologies that get involved: cyber, misinformation, biological research, some of which is pretty scary. And so that S&T plan of today, back to Will's point, is going to have to be a lot broader than it would have been 15 years ago, just because of what we are seeing happen in Ukraine, what we are seeing happen elsewhere in the world.
Mac, I was thinking while you were talking, we started out fighting each other with spears face to face, and then we went to guns so we could be a little bit further apart, and then we went to horseback so we could be mobile, and then we automated the horse in what was called a tank. And that continued, and even still face-to-face in Vietnam. And now we've turned to missile technology, where soldiers can be 40 miles away and hit each other with phenomenal reliability, accuracy. And so warfare keeps changing, and the other things that you've mentioned, biological and economic sanctions, clearly that's a big thing. I would argue in the world today, some countries might be really reticent to take on America because they see the damage or the force of economic sanctions working on Russia. And
at the same time, we had a ransomware attack that shut down fuel to the East Coast.
Absolutely.
So not all of these problems are the responsibility of the Department of Defense to solve, but we have to understand them. And when we're looking at technologies that are going to be important for our future, they need to be taken into account.
Well, because you're right. This is the department, it's commerce, it's transportation, it's critical infrastructure. So you're right, the ecosystem gets big, and the S&T focus allows us to think a bit about that in terms of getting at it.
And we're benefited because people like Admiral Mullen goes from the public sector to the private sector, bringing his skills with him and taking some of them back. And if you think about all the technology that Reid Hoffman has developed over the years, that is really what's driving everything. It drives your automobile, drives your toaster these days, and it certainly drives weapons and deployment of logistics in the military.
The other thing I would say, when the pressure's been on the budget, S&T is one of the first ones to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, sadly.
To our demise, actually. So a leader really has to hold the S&T budget in when the pressure's on for other things, because we can really be gapped in a certain area or slowed dramatically in a certain area. So understanding where we are on that, and then what the future capabilities need to be, and what these technologies are, and understanding, again, what we really need to do here versus what's happening in the private sectors.
Michael, I think you really hit it right on, nail on the head. Successful companies would not cut back their S&T in tough times. They would expand it because that's the ways out of it. And yet politics or tradition, whatever, in governments, and it's certainly not our government's a lot better than most around the world. I don't always agree with them, but they certainly carried us through today. And we've just got to make sure the public understands the ways out of it is to progress and develop new things and try new things, not to hunker back and cave in on yourself. That's a sure prescription in business and in the military for failure. And none of us want either of those things. Colleen?
Well, members, Mr. Chair, we are deeply honored that you have decided to work with us on the Defense Innovation Board here. I think the conversations we heard today, there is certainly no shortage of demands for the incredible insights and perspectives that you're going to bring to the department. And it sounds like we're going to have a bit of a busy winter here, kind of tackling these first two topics and seeing what else is coming down the pike. So thank you all so very much. We thank our public members for joining us, and we will, as our chair stated, we'll see you in the winter. Thank you.